For those of you who don't know who I am, Andy Chabassol. Hi, I'm the chapter lead in Miami, Fort Lauderdale for Climate Reality Project. And I'm pretty pumped that there's almost 250 people that registered for this webinar. So thank you everyone that joined tonight. So before we begin, I want to thank my co-host, Kelly Dawson from Citizens Climate Lobby. And a big thanks to Kyle Cornish, the Southeast Director for Climate Reality Project, for his support. There's also many other Climate Reality Project leaders that shared this webinar with their chapter members. I'm seeing some of them post where they're from and stuff in the chat. So if you are a climate leader outside of Miami and you feel comfortable doing so, please post in the chat where you joined from if you haven't already. I also want to recognize the coming together of many different climate organization leaders, including Adrian from Sierra Club, Caroline and Olivia from Clio Institute, Mike from Surfrider, Barbara from Dream of Green. I'm sure that I missed a few, but please feel free to post the organization that you represent in the chat. I think I talked about this with Dema and Lauren beforehand, and I think it's important for me to begin this webinar with some context. So on a few occasions over the past few weeks, I had people ask me if this webinar is going to be like a sales presentation. And I feel that listening tonight will relate, I think some people will relate to my personal journey with Climate First Bank. So I first got exposed to the bank from my dear friend, Carl Brent, who, if anyone who knows Carl on the call, he has the ability to get very excited. And he told me about Climate First Bank in February, I think 2022, which is about 2 years ago. And when I reflect back on that initial conversation with Carl, I'm a little embarrassed and frankly, angry at myself. I mean, Carl shared with me many things you're going to learn about tonight, and I was skeptical. Sorry, Lauren, sorry, Dema. And even though Carl's a great friend and someone I trust deeply, I dismissed him. So, to give you some context to that, in my professional life, I have a fair bit of working knowledge of finance, and I was an outspoken critic of the lack of controls and regulations that in large part led to the mortgage crisis in 2007, 2008. And like many of you on this call, I'm frustrated by reports of global banks profiteering by investing in fossil fuel power generation and new oil exploration. So if you're skeptical right now, you're right there where I was 2 years ago. So I owe Carl my a debt of gratitude because he knew me well enough to insist that I learn more. And after a couple more proddings, I finally agreed to connect with Dema and you get to meet with her shortly. So after going to their website, learning a little bit more about what I could read online, I dug deeper into their founder, Ken LaRue, and asked a few people if they knew him. And I found out many Florida climate leaders did. And I learned that Ken's commitment to ethical banking was decades old. And so when Dema and I finally spoke in August 2022 with her colleague, Chris Cucci, some of you might have attended the October 2022 chapter meeting that they were the guest speaker. So truthfully, my journey with Climate First Bank is similar to how I entered the ocean to swim, which is gradually. And so, but at least over the last 18 months, I now have 2 bank accounts. I've referred people to them to open a business account with them, and I've purchased CDs from them. And every person that I've referred to Climate First Bank thanked me afterwards, every one of them. So Dema, Laura, you better jump in here, or I might be talking for the whole hour, but hopefully this is some context for people on the call, and I'll turn it over to you guys.
Thank you so much, Andy, and welcome everyone. Thank you for taking time out of your day to join our webinar tonight. I'm Dema Headley. I'm the Director of Digital Banking at Climate First Bank. My team and I actually run and process our residential solar lending, as well as our online account application Like Andy mentioned, he opened his accounts with us and he did it through our online banking portal, where you guys can do the same thing. It's an easy, user-friendly access. We are in a different era now where people like to not go into a physical branch. They want to work from the comfort of their home or their office, and we offer that for our customers. I've been in banking for over 18 years. I started off in the call centers, teller line, personal banking, business banking. So I have an experience of all of the different areas out there. But a little enough about me. I'm going to have Lauren share a little bit about her.
Thanks, Dema. I'm Lauren. At Climate First Bank, I'm our Director of Client and Mission Partnerships, which is a long title basically to say that I helped direct the strategy for the bank's mission initiatives and work on some really creative partnerships that we get to do here at the bank. But I've actually been in values aligned banking now for 10 years. This is my 10th year anniversary working in specifically values aligned banking, starting way back in 2014 with Ken's second bank that he opened, First Green Bank. And I've been in banking now for 12 years. So pretty much my whole adult life has been working in this space, really trying to change the financial system for good. And really excited for the work we've been able to accomplish the past going on 3 years here at Climate First. So I'm excited to share with you all what that's meant for us and what that means for the movement.
Thank you, Lauren. And on the screen, it does have our contact information, and we'll drop that in the chat as well for you guys. If you have any questions or anything that we can help with directly, please feel free to reach out to us. We're going to go ahead and dive in. Lauren and I are going to share with you what ethical banking means to us. Each one of us on the call tonight have different values, which will define what ethical banking means to you individually. I believe ethical banking is where the bank is being transparent in what they're doing with your deposits. Our CEO, Ken Leroux, actually today on our staff meeting, he mentioned radical transparency as one of the top 10 for Ken. And honestly, that actually, I believe in it wholeheartedly, being transparent in what we're doing. An ethical bank would have in place social responsible investment practices and policies that they can use as well as be evaluated on. Lauren's going to go in and share her perspective on that as well. And I'm going to let her take that part right now.
Thanks, Dema. One thing that out of being in the space for a long time, that is a narrative that I always repeat to myself is how banking is the original form of crowdfunding. Based on the audience of this call, I don't think any of us would find out that a oil and gas pipeline is going in our backyard and willingly give money to it. I don't think anybody else of us would go on GoFundMe and look for a private prison and decide to give money to it. However, where we bank is essentially, that's what we're doing. So if you're banking with some of these larger financial institutions that aren't banking ethically, your deposit money is funding their lending practices. And a bank's lending practices, I would say, is definitely their biggest impact of what makes them ethical. So they're taking your deposit dollars, the money that you earn maybe every day doing climate work, working for a nonprofit, where maybe you're leading your own small business with sustainable goals and initiatives, and where that money sits every day could be actually counteracting your value set. I see so many environmental nonprofits that are banking at bigger banks that invest in fossil fuels, and their work is literally climate initiatives. So where you bank matters, and that's a narrative that I like to share a lot. And I think putting that in perspective of how you spend your money every day and how you would crowdfund money is a good comparison. I also think ethical banking is much of what it can be is also what it's not. And I think when we talk about social responsibility, it's like, what is your bank? Maybe they're not doing fossil fuels, but what good are they doing in your communities? What type of change do you want to see in the communities that you're living? And is your bank supporting those goals and initiatives? Are they supporting affordable housing? Are they supporting health and well-being, the arts and culture of your community? And are they being transparent about it? Like Dema said, transparency is key. If you don't know what your bank's doing, they probably aren't doing great stuff. And then a little bit also about how they're treating their employees, I think is super important. You see a lot of these large banks every day make tons of profit and yet pay some of their base level employees minimum wage. And there's just a lot of disparity in some of the banking systems. So I think also finding banks that prioritize their employee well-being alongside their customer well-being is super a good thing to look out for as well when we talk about banking with your value set and banking with ethics in mind. Dema, did you have anything to add?
Yeah, definitely. And the certifications that the banks hold and have, there's different ones. We're going to go into some of those in the call tonight as well, and certifications that Climate First Bank has and how that helps us evaluate what we're doing too. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually dive in tonight and share a little bit more about Climate First Bank and how we're being transparent in and how we promote ethical banking. To do that, I want to share a little bit about the bank. Climate First Bank is a subsidiary of Climate First Bank Corp. Climate First Bank Corp is a holding company committed to driving positive impact in the climate crisis and enabling customers to use their finances as a force for good. Climate First Bank is the world's first FDIC-insured community bank founded to combat the climate crisis. We work hard to deploy our customers' deposits into projects that makes a difference in the community, such as renewable energy, affordable housing, and community development. One Ethos is actually a subsidiary of Climate First Bank Corp, and One Ethos is a technology company and that creates the mission-driven technology solutions that we use to help promote that. Going in, we're going to talk a little bit about the certifications and memberships that we have.
Yeah, so this is a part where I think how the poll responded with all these different things that you think define ethical banking. I hope that going through some of the certifications or memberships that we've committed to kind of give you a sense of where we align with a lot of those initiatives. So to go through these and try to keep things succinct, I'll try to give a little bit of backstory for all of these. So the first is 1% for the planet, and 1% for the planet was created by Yvon Chouinard, the founder of Patagonia, when he noticed that philanthropic dollars weren't flowing to environmental nonprofits and wanted to change that. So 1% for the planet helps certify nonprofits, environmental nonprofits that are actually doing work in that space, as well as certifies for-profit businesses that want to have a giving commitment. So 1% for the planet basically audits our environmental giving every year, ensures that we're giving 1% of our revenues to environmental nonprofits. For us, this is a really substantial commitment. I don't think there's any other bank in the country that does it at the level that we do. So committing our funds and our corporate giving to environmental nonprofits is a huge part of what we do. We also have Race to Zero. This is also known as the Net Zero Banking Alliance. And the Net Zero Banking Alliance was created by the United Nations to help move the Paris Agreement forward. And essentially what it is it says banks have way too much power in this space. They're lending to fossil fuels. They're really, funding the climate crisis. So let's create a coalition of banks that want to do opposite of that and actually transition their banking portfolios to net zero. So Climate First Bank made that commitment. So we are committed to having our loan portfolio reach net zero by 2050. Right now, we're at the stage where we're measuring what that means. We're trying to figure out what our carbon emissions are for things like our commercial real estate portfolios, our mortgage lending, and expanding beyond that. And then really figuring out what it would mean to get us to net zero by that deadline. So you'll see more to come from us every year as we publish our impact reports with our progress in that space. We Are Neutral is a big partner for us, not only for that work with Race to Zero, but Climate First Bank actually also offsets their operational footprint every year. A lot of banks, don't really think about their operational footprint. I think for banks, it can be relatively small. But you got to think every branch on the street is powered. You have employees working from home. You have business expenses, people commuting to and from work, people going on business trips. So we actually use We Are Neutral to help us through that process. We do a survey of our employees every year to measure the impacts of their home office spaces. We go through our utilities for our current branches. Winter Park's branch being a LEED Platinum space, so it's actually net zero on its own. And then we work with We Are Neutral to actually purchase carbon offsets for our operational footprint. So each year we measure and offset with the help of We Are Neutral. They're local here to Florida. They're in Gainesville. So they help make sure that the offsets that we get are local, verified offsets, and also permanent projects. The next is we're a certified B Corporation. If you're not familiar with the B Corporation movement, it is a global standard for businesses wanting to use their business for good. It is a very rigorous assessment. It really helps prevent greenwashing in the space. It's applicable to more than just the banking industry. You might recognize that logo if you have Patagonia products, if you eat Ben & Jerry's ice cream, and there's also, other service-based businesses like law offices, other banks, consultants, and beyond. And the B Corporation movement is really important because of how stringent it is. It audited how transparent we are with our customer base, how fair our products and services were and are. It audited how we treat our employees, the fact that we pay our employees 100% living wage, have benefit options, have paid time off, went through all of that, went through our environmental initiatives, not just on our banking product side, but also on our operations and our building spaces, our governance structure. So we're actually also a Florida benefit corporation, meaning that our governance structure and our mission is protected all the way through our legal structure, which is super important. And B Lab, which is the nonprofit behind becoming a certified B Corporation, is the certification body behind that. So it's a very respected certification. It was a big achievement for us. It took us a little over a year to get that done. So if you're looking in the grocery store or when you're looking online for different products and services, if you see that certified B Corporation logo, you know that they mean business, and they mean business for good. Next, we have Florida for Good, and Florida for Good is our network of businesses for good here in the state of Florida. We have chapters in Central Florida, in the Miami area, in North Florida, and St. Pete. So if you're a business or a business owner or an employee in a business that's really doing amazing things with your practices, then I highly recommend checking out the Florida for Good movement. We're meant to be a collaboration source between each other, helping other businesses. Helping other businesses with their journeys to sustainability. And then the last one that we actually just were qualified for last week, 2 weeks ago, is the Global Alliance for Banking on Values. And this is a larger global movement of banks that want to change the financial system for good. So I say all of that to show you that we've really aligned ourselves with partners that keep us true to our mission, that keep us accountable, and that keep us transparent.
Thank you, Lauren.
Yeah, so Lauren, just to give people some context of B Corporation, and you alluded to how hard it is. So in 2023, there was only about 2,000 companies that got certified for being a B Corporation. And if you think about it, a lot of them would be, things you could think of that could join and be relatively aligned with values. Banking's not one of them. So kudos to you guys. And Lauren, there was a question in the chat around when the comment that you made about loan portfolio to net zero by 2050. And so can you maybe give some context as to what that means, and meaning are you loaning to carbon intensive industries today? What does that look like? Because it's 25 years off.
Yeah. So where we're at in our journey now is we know that every loan we have has an environmental impact. It has a carbon footprint. Even if you're doing everything right, if you have solar on your building, everyone has a carbon footprint. Every business has a carbon footprint. We do a lot of mortgage lending, and we do a lot of commercial real estate lending, both which we know are important for our communities. I mean, if we have the dentist on the street, that's an essential service, and they operate in a building. And if we do a loan for that building, we know that has an impact. So what we're doing now is really those physical spaces are the biggest chunk of what we would consider our kind of carbon intensive part of our portfolio. And it's just because they're actual physical spaces. So we use some industry guidelines and frameworks. One of them is the Partnership for Carbon Accounting Financials, which gives us a framework of how we would look at a piece of real estate and actually assess its carbon footprint. So we've done that for all of our loans through 2022 and getting ready to finish that for 2023. That way we just know where we stand. I think having that baseline and knowing what we need to do to go from there is super important. So we'll expand that eventually to our other business lines of credit. We don't really do a ton of vehicle loans, but vehicle loans is another category. And then also the projects that we do a ton of that actually kind of put us in the right direction, which is in a renewable energy and our solar lending program, which Dema will talk about. So it's a long journey and we're only about 2.5 years old. So where we're at now is just figuring out what our baseline is. And that's been hard, challenging work, but really grateful that we started from the ground up to be able to keep that as part of our culture and practices from day one.
Lauren, that was a wonderful answer. Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you. We're going to go into the mission and impact section of the slide. Lauren, do you want to go ahead?
Yeah, so these are just a few highlights. Every year, we actually produce an impact report. If you go on our website now, you'll see we did one for the first like 6-7 months that we were open in 2021. And then we also did one for all of 2022, where we really wanted to be transparent with all the good things that we're doing, where we're at on our journeys, where we're maybe not quite meeting the mark quite yet. That way we can be transparent and report to our stakeholders each year. So a few highlights from 2022 was that we supported 455 mission-aligned projects, which included some affordable housing and commercial solar, as well as residential solar. There's a slide that we'll get to in a second that'll show you how we've measured the breakdown of those projects. Through 1% for the Planet, we've donated a little over about $111,000 to nonprofit partners since we opened our doors. And then Dema, I'll let you do the next two.
Absolutely. So part of that mission impact is One Ethos is our fintech subsidiary that works with us to help us build our technology. By using the One Ethos technology for our solar lending platform, we're able to reduce dealer fees by 20 to 30%. Some of you may not be familiar with what dealer fees are, but with solar installations, if you're using solar financing companies, I'm not going to name them out, but the standard ones, they charge the installers 20 to 30% dealer fees that the installer then rolls into the cost of that solar project that you're doing. So through our platform and what we're presenting to customers, we don't have those fees. So customers are saving anywhere from 20 to 30% for each project that they do. We're able to do over 25,000 kilowatts of energy through that platform between the residential and commercial. Our platform currently is for residential, which we'll go into a little bit more in the next slides.
Yeah, and I'm gonna celebrate Dema for a second because she has done so much work to make residential solar lending not only accessible but affordable for families. That dealer fee thing is a big deal. It really does give you the ability to replace your utility bill with a solar loan payment, and the amount of loans that Dema did just this past year through that program is just astronomical. So I just wanted to celebrate Dema in that moment because she was being modest, but it really is like a really, really incredible program that we've been able to build here. That's really changed the industry here, especially in the state of Florida and hopefully expanding to different states in the new year.
Thank you. No, you're good. So driven by the goal of changing finance to finance change, Climate First Bank seeks to invest in organizations committed to bettering our communities and planet. And part of that is, you can see on the spread here where we have for impact lending, where you can see in consumer solar, we processed over 83 million that powered by One Ethos technology that we're utilizing. Other mission aligned practices was over 38 million. Commercial solar, we did over 35 million. For environmental and climate practices is 28 million, health and well-being 15 million, affordable housing 12 million, manufacturing 9 million, youth education 8 million. Other mission aligned groups, there is a total of 7 million, economic workforce, and then health food on there. You can see part of the biggest impact was through the commercial solar lending that we did, which was over 83 million in residential solar loans. And I'm going to go into more details about that and how that number came about too on there. On the next couple slides, you'll see. So,
Oh, sorry, do you mind if I ask?
Yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to also highlight the fact, like, us tracking this is not something that a lot of other banks do. I mean, there are a few that we've been able to collaborate from and learn from in the industry, but we actually identify every single one of our loans as being mission aligned or not. You know, we really try hard to focus and sell towards those that we feel like align with us. So the fact that we track this and we report on this is really unique to Climate First Bank in that way.
It's all about being transparent.
Yeah, so Lauren and Dema, this is a good, there was a one question that was submitted to me prior that I think is around, you know, which investments are most attractive to Climate First Bank right now, both for their climate impact and for their financial return. Is there something that you can elaborate on with that?
Yeah, I mean, Dema, you might have something to add, but I think with the stage of where we're at right now, any mission aligned project is exciting for us. We really love working with projects, especially the ones in these categories. And also, I mean, we just really need depositors. I think that's a narrative that we talk about at every meeting that we have is we're funding some really cool stuff, especially with our solar platforms. And we need depositors to be able to support that movement. So that for us, values aligned clients are what we get most excited about.
I agree, especially with the mission aligned clients that we're trying to work with and bank with, because you know they're looking at the same thing that we're looking at, the same goals, the same values, to want to be able to help the planet. And part of that is the renewable energy. So consumer loans for solar, as well as commercial solar loans, I think is a highlight for us as well.
Bob Moore from Climate Reality Project put a question in there that I think is something around the government side of things. I'm not sure whether this is something you guys do, but he states, given the direct pay feature of the IRA, there's a great opportunity for municipalities to add solar to facilities and save taxpayers money. Have you had any experience working with cities on solar and storage projects?
So I haven't personally had that experience, but we do have our commercial team. Chris Cucci, actually, Andy mentioned him earlier in the call. He does help lead our commercial solar initiatives as well, and that's something he's working on to help promote and help those municipalities as well as nonprofits take advantage of that tax credit.
Yeah, we did do 2 fairly large scale projects in the past couple months where we were a participant in them. I think one was a project around 15,000 kilowatts. The other one might have been around 16,000. So we were a participant in some of those larger scale projects. But Chris and his team are working on some really exciting things as it relates to the IRA and the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund. Just things that we can't just talk about yet. So I would say stay tuned for more on that.
I like that sneak preview, sort of eluding mystery. That's all good.
I am dying to be able to talk about that, and I'm not even part of the project. I probably message Chris like every other week, like, hey, like what's going on? Like I'm so excited to know what we're gonna do. So yeah, there'll be some cool stuff I think you'll see from us in 2024.
Absolutely. And I would recommend following us on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We definitely share projects, things comes out. Our marketing team does an amazing job with sharing updates as well. So if you want to keep in the loop, definitely do that. We can also sign up for our newsletters that we have as well on our website. So I'm going to go to the next one regarding the solar lending platform, the next slide that we have, just to show you a breakdown of what that 83 million actually consisted of. Part of it is the application process that we have. So in May of 2022, we launched our digital solar lending platform built by our fintech affiliate, One Ethos. The innovative platform provided us to simplify the application process, expedite the solar application decision for 100% financing and no dealer fees. Part of that was, best of all, it's like it enabled us to fulfill our mission of expanding ethical solar finance, because the solar financing that was previously out there, it wasn't ethical. These installers signed actual NDAs with these companies to say that they're not going to disclose those dealer fees and just roll it in to those their contracts. So part of that is for us to be able to educate customers. So I can tell you out of that, every single customer we talked to that my team handled for those solar applications that we processed for the solar loans, we've actually educated those customers on those dealer fees, where those other companies may offer a lower interest rate that seems very appealing and compelling for them to use. But the fact that they're paying the upfront cost of the dealer fee that's rolled into it, those hidden costs, that it ends up costing the project more. And just by educating the customers, they come back to us to actually process the loan with us and work with us for that. We tell them to ask for the cash price. So if they're looking at their solar project where it's normally, it would have been 50, 60,000, the cash price is actually $10,000 to $20,000 less just because of those dealer fees. So we've processed 1,847 residential solar loans totaling over 84 million and 24,000 kilowatts.
And it's so much more than that when you fold in some of this. I mean, we were, what number did I give you when we were talking about what number to share on this slide?
Like 49,000.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
she's just bragging on what we've been able to do for individual homeowners.
Yeah, in total, overall, with commercial and everything else, we've processed over 49,000 kilowatts in solar lens. So it's an amazing platform that we have, and we're really proud to be able to share this with consumers to make a difference, to especially if they want to go green and save some money as well as do something great for the planet. I'm going to go into another amazing tool that's actually created by our fintech affiliate, One Ethos. It's our improved impact banking app. A lot of our customers ask us, like, what can they do to make a difference and have that impact? And they want to see that measurement as well. So One Ethos actually have an impact banking app that lets you as the consumer actually measure your spending, see what impact you're having in the community that you have, that you're spending in, and how those actually relate to what your values are. So part of it is a deposit scoring that measures the positive impact of clients' deposits to their community and incentivizing them to be able to vote with their wallet. It's funny, Andy and Lauren and I met to do like a run through, and Lauren made the comment of vote with your wallet. And it's true, you have that power. You can actually make that decision of where you spend your money and how you spend it. Having that Certified B Corp stamp on items, knowing that you're spending on products that actually makes a difference, and it's a difference for good. That's important. The app also gives you transaction scoring that enables clients to align their spending with the small businesses and mission-driven merchants that they want to bank with. So you can actually choose categories that has an impact for you and that's values aligned with what your values are. As I mentioned earlier in the call, everyone's values are going to be different. Not all of us have the same values, and it doesn't align the same way. So you can choose those actual values based on small businesses, women-owned businesses, minority-owned, renewable energy, or low to moderate income, veteran-owned. So you can actually look at that. The app actually calculates, and it has over 600 types of businesses, and we're constantly adding more to it to help enable that. You have the option to give suggestions as well, and we can add those to the application so you can monitor your spending for those categories. There's the value sector that enables clients to choose the values that are most important to them and collaborate the system to measure those numbers for them. I personally think that this is an amazing tool that we have and we offer our clients through One Ethos. Climate Force Bank, its clients now can use this when they're logged into their online banking. They can actually go to the impact banking section and they can monitor their spending and see how it impacts what their values are.
Dema, I think there was one other pre-meeting question that I think might be applicable here to some degree is like, first off, impact banking, if you're listening on the phone, like, this is super cool. I don't want to like let that just go without saying it's super cool. But what are some of the other key customer service areas of improvement that the bank is focused on in 2024, in addition to this super cool impact banking app?
So we are working on some initiatives within our online banking platform. Being fairly new, there's some things that I personally think that our online banking platform is robust, and it has a lot of features available to our consumers. But it's always room for improvement, right? We're constantly working to improve it. This past year, we've done so many improvements where we can actually do ACHs for person-to-person banking, as well as online wires for consumers as well. So not a lot of banks offer online wires for consumers. So this past year, we've improved on the platform where we can actually do online wires on the consumer side. We're constantly adding additional things. We added Apple Pay as well as Android Pay to that platform too, where the customers can utilize that. So that's some of the things that we're continually doing. We're getting feedback from consumers of what they would like. And one thing that I will say is that as a community bank, we listen to that feedback and we try to implement it to make it where those services are enabled and accessible to our customers.
I really never worked for a bank that does so many upgrades to their online banking system, and almost always solely based off of like a few customers' feedback. We'll hear from like 2 people, oh, we really wish that this, looked a different way in our online banking. And if we find that to be something that we can change and upgrade, like we'll do it. Obviously with some bigger picture stuff in mind, but we really do a lot. We really listen to our clients and what they need, and then try our best to continue to improve our banking system. We know that as a community bank, our technology is not, it's hard to compare to the Chase and Wells Fargo's of the world that have billions of dollars to invest into their tech platforms. And we want you to feel like you can bank with your values and still bank with ease, without having to jump through a lot of hoops. So it's really important for us, for our tech, to stand up against the big banks.
The other great thing too is we have one ethos, right? It's our technology company that also it enables us to be able to build technology. So if it's something that we don't have access to through our vendors that we work with, we have our technology company that allows us to. He's probably going to yell at me tomorrow for putting this out there. Not this a joke. But we have built the solo lending platform from inception when we started in May of 2022 to where we are today. It's definitely transformed and changed. My team can attest to that, as well as the installers and partners that we work with can attest for that as well, to show that we have that capability to enhance and enable those things. And there's still some adjustments and enhancements that are coming to our mobile banking as well through our One Ethos affiliate.
Yeah, Dema, Lauren, there was a question in the chat that's going back and forth, and I think, personally, I would love to answer this question, but I'm going to leave it to you guys to some degree. So maybe just because, look, green banks are great. Connecticut, was a trailblazer in lots of different ways or whatever. But I think it's really important to differentiate, DC Green Bank and Connecticut Green Bank and Climate First Bank. So, and their quasi sort of government and, funded by or set up by the legislation. Can you guys comment on those a little bit and the differentiation? I know you already did share about B Corps and some of the things that you're doing, but I think that there's, well, anyway, I'm tooting your horn, but I'll stop doing that. So.
Are we talking about the question from where we're talking about how can there only be one climate bank in the US? Or are we just talking about what differentiates from a green
just
bank?
In general, I think more like, just differentiate between, when a government legislation says, here, I want to set up a bank, versus what Climate First Bank is and does.
Yeah, Climate First Bank was founded, we funded from shareholders, so we're essentially really locally owned and led when you think about who our shareholder base is. We're FDIC-insured. We put priority on having a full suite of banking services, where, to my knowledge of green banks, they don't always have the full suite of products like a bank like ours does. So being able to really take what I would call like traditional community banking and add this values proposition to it is essentially what makes us stand alone and stand different from like your typical publicly funded green bank.
Yeah, and they're all good, but there is a difference between what you guys are and say Connecticut Green Bank, etc. So I just wanted to.
Yeah, when we're also able to have, I wish I had like a way more in-depth knowledge on green banks, but we're also able to like transform other industries, I think, in that way. Like we do, what I would say is, more traditional, like commercial real estate, more traditional business lines of credit. But really trying to wrap in our mission and kind of spread our mission to different businesses and individuals, which I think is important. I mean, we're incentivizing business clients to, make greener upgrades to the buildings that they're purchasing. We're able to influence solar adoption in the state by making it affordable. So there's definitely overlap, but there's also things that we're able to have more leverage on and more influence on, I think, being in the space that we're in.
I agree. So, but anyway, thank you for addressing that. There's another really good question from Rhonda that just jumped in the chat that said, how do you mitigate the risk of residential rooftop solar with insurance companies denying coverage?
So we are working with, we do require insurance to be on our solar, our customers to have our customers to have insurance, home insurance for their solar panels. We have a couple insurance companies that we were referred to that actually support solar as well. So we do educate our customers with those options that they have and have them reach out to them to get those resources as well. So we are also working with partners to see if there's ways we can get more companies. So we work with FLISIA, which is the Florida Solar and Energy Storage in the state of Florida. And they have a long list of insurance companies as well that they've vetted and worked with that will accept solar panels. And we refer our clients to those companies.
Cool, thank you.
So we're going to go on and just share a little bit more about impact banking and what we do and some of the products that we want to highlight that shows our impact banking.
This is my slide, right, Dema? So one thing that I guess two things that we did over the past couple of years were create these relatively unique products in our space. So one is the regeneration checking account. If you've heard of regeneration, which I'm sure a lot of you have, it's another book and initiative from Paul Hawken that really focuses on more of the action piece. So if you were to kind of continue the work of drawdown into regeneration and shifting what you learned from drawdown to actual actionable items, that's what regeneration does. So with every regeneration checking account that's opened, we actually donate $100 to Project Regeneration. And we also give the interest earned on those accounts to Project Regeneration. So not just from when you open the account are you contributing to their work, but ongoing basis with your interest contributions. You also get a free autographed copy of a book. I mean, I think that might be the new age equivalent of getting a free toaster when you open an account, but way cooler.
Hey, I love that book.
No, I said way.
Don't be comparing regeneration with toaster. No, don't be going there.
No, you get a copy of the book, which if you don't own it, it's truly incredible. And there's no monthly account fee, as with all of our accounts. And then Pride Banking, we launched in response to the Don't Say Gay bill here in Florida, and really wanted to start pouring some love into our LGBTQ nonprofit organizations. So we rotate partners. I think we're doing it biannually now. So our current nonprofit partner is a local nonprofit here in the Orlando area called Bliss Cares. They do a lot in the community for HIV testing, as well as some other additional healthcare work and support. They actually have a for-profit nonprofit model. So their for-profit model is a certified B corporation. So, and then the nonprofit partner, Bliss Cares, is our nonprofit partner for this season. So you get $100 of when you open your Pride Banking account goes to our rotating nonprofit partner. Something that was really important to us launching this account was that if you have a preferred name and pronouns, that we recognize those and put those in the correspondence and on your debit card, which a lot of banks won't do, as well as you get fun Pride checks, which, checks are still relevant as much as we pretend like they're not. They are fun when you get to whip them out and use them. So these are really important for us, and we built them to really just find ways of continuing to have impact with something as simple as opening a new checking account. And those are both personal accounts, so for individuals and families.
Thank you, Lauren. And if something that you're looking for is more on the high yield interest side, we actually launched an unbeatable offer at Climate First Bank. It's the Choice Banking product. It has a 5.34% annual percentage yield on any of the products that we offer on the screen right now. And you choose the product and the rate will be the 5.34%. The Choice Personal Checking Account, personal money market if you want to have more flexibility and being able to put funds in, withdraw funds, that account's there. If you wanted something that's more secure, we do have a 6-month CD that actually has no penalty. If you wanted to withdraw early, you can actually do that as well. And then our 15-month flex CD is actually a very unique product that I've never heard anybody else that has it. And what it is, it lets you be able to add more funds to the CD or increase your rate one time. If let's say the rate goes up above 5.34% and you wanted to increase that, it gives you that flexibility to do that or do a one-time withdrawal for half of the amount that you put in there. So it's a really great product that has an actual earning that you can get with 5.34% for the annual percentage yield. So if it's something that you're looking for that's more intriguing to earn and make money on it, then the choice banking products that we offer is something that you would want to utilize.
5.34% APY. That's just obnoxious.
Yeah, it's actually for the checking account, it's actually rated the nation's best checking account, the highest paying one right now. I think the statistic was the 75% higher than the nation average for checking accounts. So we try to make sure that we meet our clients' needs and we want to be above and better than what offers you have out there. And then just to finish up, I wanted to put, in addition to the accounts that we mentioned, we do offer a full suite of products from personal banking, lending options, as well as business banking. So I know Andy mentioned that he referred some clients over to us for the business product, our Net Zero business checking account. It's in the name itself. It's Net Zero. There's no fees associated with the account. If you do e-statements, online banking, it's essentially a no maintenance fee account. And one of the things I wanted to highlight too is our cash management solutions. We offer free ACH services and free positive pay services to our clients. That's unheard of at other banks. It's something that we highlight. We want to make sure that our customers are well sound and know what they're doing with their banking to protect themselves. So we offer those services at no charge to them. There's a poll on the screen. If it's something that you have or you want more information on, please say yes, and Lauren and I or one of our team members will reach out to you with more information about those products. We will drop in the chat our email addresses as well. If you have questions or you actually want more information on these products, feel free to reach out to us. You can visit our website at climatefirstbank.com. Everything that we've mentioned today is accessible on our website as well. And you can get more information. We have blogs and additional posts that we put on there, as well as following us on LinkedIn and Facebook and Instagram. We share a lot of material there as well.
The questions are starting to come in fast and furiously. So
Great timing.
So Elaine Franklin asks, since you provide online banking, can clients live outside Florida or do they need to be Florida residents?
Absolutely. So that's actually where my team and I come in. I run the digital branch. So if you're not near a physical branch and you want to bank with us, you absolutely can do so. You can set up the accounts online. We can either do everything through the online platform, or we can schedule virtual meetings and to get to know you better as well. We definitely can work with you.
So Michael Williams asks a little bit, I think he actually, I'd love him posts a podcast in there for reference. I'm not sure we have time to read the podcast, but listen to the podcast, but he asks, do you have plans to explore funding small farms who want to grow whole foods people eat, as opposed to subsidized commodity crops like soybeans, which the current bank system doesn't know how to fund?
Listen, I would love for us to be able to do that. And it's really hard to lend to. Like, there's a reason why our banking system is bad at it, and that there's like specialty banks that specialize in ag. As far as, I mean, I don't feel like at the moment we're equipped. I don't think that means that we wouldn't look at certain projects to see if it's something we could get comfortable with. Our founder is super passionate about the organic regenerative agriculture movement. So I'm sure we would be itching to get creative on the subject. He's super involved with the Real Organic Project. I'm sure you're familiar with them, but so at this time, we don't have a specific product for it. But if there's one thing that I think our whole team likes here, it's getting creative and taking on a challenge. So
I like it. Well, there's some other pre-meeting questions. One that Greg Hammer from CCL submitted to me that says, does Climate First Bank have a government affairs division and use its voice to wade into political advocacy? If yes, what types of climate-related legislation has Climate First Bank advocated for or against?
do you want me to take that one, Dema?
Yeah.
Okay. I wish we had a whole division for that. That would be lovely. We work right now with some of our partners where we kind of pool some of our advocacy work together. So we do some of that with our Be Local groups, our Florida for Good movement. I'm sure all of you have heard about the anti-ESG bill, which was HB 3, which passed in Florida this year. We were pretty vocal about our opposition to that because it did prevent us from being able to discriminate against certain business industries. Whereas, before, when we could confidently say that we don't lend to X, Y, and Z industries, that bill kind of makes it so that we can't have a direct policy on that anymore. So we were pretty vocal about how we felt about that bill when it first passed. But we are regulated by the state of Florida, so we do abide by that. We did a lot of we did express our voice for the Don't Say Gay bill and against the Stop Woke Act here in Florida. Right now we're doing a lot of in our branches and as much as we can with some of our local partners, supporting the work behind Right to Clean Water. So yes, there's probably so many more things that I'm forgetting about. Our CEO really loves to get involved in local politics, especially. He's quite vocal in that space. And I would really love for us to continue to do more with policy advocacy specifically. So that's why it's really great to have our kind of B Corp and Florida for Good community, because it's a lot of work to do for one organization. So pooling resources and collaborating has been really key for us. And this year we're doing a lot with making sure our employees have time to vote and have all the resources they need to vote in such a critical year. So that's just a little slice, I guess, of what would be a wonderful department for the bank.
Well, we'll look forward to more structure and more in leading that at some point in the future.
See that.
That was a great response. Well done, Lauren. I know that we're getting pushed up on time and want to respect people's it's 7 to 8 time frame or whatever. Is there anything in closing, Dema, Lauren, that you guys would like to add?
I just want to thank everyone for joining us and having us share a little bit what our perspective is for ethical banking. As I mentioned, it's different for each person, and just showing you what we can offer at Climate First Bank. And honestly, I think why Lauren and I both joined Climate First Bank is the mission and values align. I'm not going to speak for Lauren, but I know just in working with her that we agree on that aspect of it, where not only where we bank, but we also work. It's a company that we are proud to work for and to bank with as well. So we thank you for taking the time tonight to meet with us to get a little bit more understanding of what Climate First Bank does and how we feel that our services and solutions offer ethical banking.
Yeah. And I did want to, when I was looking at the chat earlier, Lynn asked a question about the proportion of mission aligned loans to non. And actually, I think you asked for her to clarify, and if she's still on, I think I know what she was referring to. We actually do track the percentage difference at the end of the year about, gosh, I have to do quick math in my head. There was about, I think it was 84% were what we called mission aligned loans between our solar portfolio and some of our other business clients. And then the other, gosh, what number did I just have on my screen?
16.
16% was what we consider, we say non-mission aligned, but not, I mean, what we call kind of regular business, nothing super, nothing extractive, nothing going to oil and gas, nothing going to private prisons or anything like that. So, and then for, in terms of dollar amounts, the spread is a little bit different. It's about a 63 compared to 37% mission aligned. So we track that and are transparent about that because we're always looking to improve those numbers. So good question, Lynn. I'm glad you asked it because that's what report I pull every month.
Awesome.
Thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. And Andy, thank you for hosting and moderating for us tonight as well.
Yeah.
Night, everybody.
Good
Thank you
night.
so much.